Money and economy is the power which controls the world, but this power being controlled by capitalists for the centuries. At this point, an ordinary man became extraordinary by making a criticism on capitalists. He is the only one, Karl Marx.
Why so serious?
Hello, hi everyone. I'm your Tamil elegant. Me and my team going to speak on that Karl Marx. Let's get into it. Karl Heinrich Marx is the father of Marxism. He was born on May 5th, 1818, in the Kingdom of Prussia, a part of German Confederation. His grandfathers came from the both part of famous rabbis, but his own father had converted to Protestantism, even the barriers of Jewish involvement in society as false citizen. In 1835, Marx left home to join an university where he became fascinating to teaching of the philosopher J.W.F. Hegel. He had a wonderful life, but being captivated by his history-making ideas on socialism. In 1843 until 1845, he made two relationships which causes a change in his life. One was his wife, Jenny. They had a happy married life with 7 children. And the other was an intellectual bonding with Frederick Engels, who brought a relationship to experience and eye-opening knowledge. In 1848, Marx and Engels created a concept on socialism in their work, the Communist Manifesto. In the writings, they championed the workers, which plants a realization to the workers. From the philosopher and economist, he transformed into a revolutionary activist. It is also remarkably well timed on wave of revolution all around the Europe, so that he can't find a home in Europe. Therefore, he went to London, then took a job as a European correspondent to the New York Tribune. The writings gained from economic to American politics, the crisis on slavery, an evolutionary movement, and ultimately a civil war. Marx worked on writing economic and politics, include Das Kapitalas. In 1864, Marx elected to the General Council of International Working Men Association. In his travel to Europe and United States, he got a worldwide view. Like the early 20th of centuries, his ideas and theories became undoubtedly popular and adopted in a lot of countries. The Russian Revolution on 1917 assured the first communist government, and after the World War II, the socialism and communism spread throughout the world, including Europe, China, Cuba, and North Korea, and more. This communism being adapted because it is contrast to the capitalism. They all made their political, social, and economic measures based on Marxism. Karl Marx died on March 14, 1883. Even his tombstone describes the final line of Communist Manifesto.
Nature of Philosophy by Karl Marx. Nature has two interrelated meanings in philosophy. On the one hand, it means the set of all things which are natural or subject to the normal working of the laws of nature. On the other hand, it means the essential properties and causes of individual things. There is no specific Marxist nature of philosophy of as Karl Marx. Some have separated Marx's work between young Marx, which is in particular the Economic and Philosophy manuscript of 1844, and mature Marx, also separating it into purely philosophical works, economics works, and political and historical interventions. There are three examples for Karl Marx's Natural of Philosophy. First is criticism of human rights. Second is criticism of Ludwig Feuerbach. And third is historical materialism. In criticism of human rights, Marx critiqued the ideology of the human rights, thus departs from the counter-revolutionary critique by Edmund Burke, who dismissed the right of the man in favor of the right of the individual. It is not grounded on an opposition to the Enlightenment's universalism and humanist project on behalf of the rights of tradition, as in Burke's case, but rather on the claim the ideology of economism and the ideology of the human rights are the reverse sides of the same coin. The second example of Karl Marx's Natural of Philosophy is criticism on Ludwig Feuerbach. For example, thesis on Feuerbach, 1845. The young Marx broke with Feuerbach's idealism. He writes that the philosopher only described the world in a various way. The point is to change it, and his materialist approach allows for and empowers such change. The effective transformations of the world through praxis, which combines theory and practice in a materialist way, is what distinguishes Marxist philosopher with the rest of philosophers. And lastly is historical materialism. Marx emphasized that social development sprang from the inherent contradictions within material life and the social superstructure. Marx illustrates this idea most prominently by the development of the capitalism from feudalism and by the predictions of the development of socialism from capitalism.
So, today I'm Muhammad Fakur Aziz bin Muhammad Isa. My number matrix is 75794. We'll talk about the implication of Karl Marx. So basically, Karl Marx or Karl Heinrich Marx or Karl Marx is one of the great philosophers, economists, and politicians. Karl Marx has introduced many new theories that have been invented by himself. The first theory is a Marxian labor theory. So basically, Marxian labor theory is a theory that we can use to appreciate the labor. Marx said that labor doing a heavy duty, such as produce some new things with their skills and their energy. So Marx thinks that we should value the work of labor because without labor, we will never produce some new things. So secondly is a social economic system. So basically, Karl Marx like to socialist system that everyone will have an equal and fair right in life. For example, everyone will get a same salary from their works. So the criminal cases such as robbery will reduce. This is because when we have all the same things with others, so there are no such as robbery because all of us get the same things. So lastly is a German ideology. Karl Marx has introduced the German ideology. German ideology that decide to work hard to set up the premises of the materialist method. So, materialist life determines social life, and so the primary direction of social explanation is from material production to social forms. Material are needed to develop an economic structures, and eventually communism will become a real possibility once the plight of the workers and their awareness of an alternative motivates them sufficiently to become revolutionaries until now. So that's all from me of implication of Karl Marx. So thank you.
Marx is a famous philosopher, economist, and politician. After 12 years of his death, Engels published his own understanding of Marx in numerous works. Terra Cover explained a tradition framed as philosophical system building on certain self-styled materialist principle was founded. This scientist reading came to be used in practice as part of an ideology to unite state power of Communist Party elites in Russia after 1917 by Lenin and Stalin, and later standardized in Soviet Union until its collapse in 1989. Marx's knowledge of socialist radicalism was deepened through reading socialist writing and by contact with socialists and communists in Paris in the 1840 while working on his journal Renische Zeitung. The price Marx paid to channel all his talents compulsively into total resistance politics at the expense of everything was that he neglected to develop the issues and demands he hints in many.
In conclusion, there have two-way difference natural of philosophy of Karl Marx. Natural of philosophy of Karl Marx has two interrelated meaning in philosophy, which is the set of all things which is natural or subject to the normal working of the law of natural and the essential properties and cause individual things. Karl Marx's natural of philosophy is criticism of human rights, criticism of Ludwig Herbart, and historical materialism. Although Karl Marx remains a relatively unknown figure in his own life, his idea and ideology of Marxism begin to exert a great influence on the socialist movement shortly after his death. Therefore, Karl Marx also has created several theories such as Marxian labor theory, social economic system, and German ideology that bring various benefits to all parties. In addition, although he has died for many years, but his journal and his ideas cannot be forgotten by the community, and there are other artists still refer to the work has been produced by him and have been applied until now. The memorial at his grave also is always protected by token of appreciation from his fans.
Tamil and his friends. Well done, one me. Credit goes to Dr. Vimala. Thank you.